small cafe on the corner of Maple and 3rd smelled of cinnamon, coffee beans, and something faintly sweet, like comfort wrapped in warmth. It was Sunday morning, and the sun had just begun its gentle climb over the skyline. Amelia Brooks, a single mother in her early 30s, sat near the window, her tired eyes softening as she watched her daughter Lila dip a croissant into her hot cocoa. Amelia's life had been a quiet struggle, bills piling up, dreams postponed, and nights spent sewing clothes after putting Lila to bed. Yet this morning felt peaceful. For once, she wasn't rushing anywhere. Just her and her little girl. A few stolen minutes of calm. Lila's laughter rang out light and pure. "Mommy, look, it's shaped like a heart," she giggled, pointing at the foam in her drink. Amelia smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's forehead. Maybe that means today will be lucky. But then, something changed. Lila froze mid-laugh, her spoon clattering softly against the cup. Her eyes widened, focused on someone across the cafe. "Mom," she whispered, voice trembling with awe. "That's him." Amelia blinked, confused. "Who, sweetheart?" Lila's small hand pointed toward the far corner. A man sat alone, dressed in a sleek navy suit that seemed too perfect for the cozy cafe. He wasn't reading or talking, just quietly stirring his coffee, his gaze distant, heavy. "That's the man from my dream," Lila said. Amelia frowned, heart skipping. "From your dream?" Lila nodded earnestly. "The one I told you about. The man who said he'd find us. Remember, Mommy? The one who gave you the pretty light?" A chill rippled through Amelia. She remembered. 2 nights ago, Lila had woken up crying and said she dreamed of a man standing under a streetlight, handing Amelia a glowing heart. "He said Mommy shouldn't be sad anymore," she'd whispered. Now, Lila's small voice quivered again. "He found us, Mommy. He's right there." Amelia glanced toward the man again, and this time her breath caught. Something about him, the line of his jaw, the sadness in his eyes, pulled at something deep in her chest. He looked familiar, like a face she'd seen long ago in another life. The man looked up. Their eyes met. For a brief moment, everything went still. The hum of conversation faded. The smell of coffee disappeared. He stared at her, recognition dawning, disbelief softening the edges of his cold expression. "Amelia," he said softly, rising to his feet. His voice carried a quiet tremor, one that made her heart stumble. She blinked, whispering, "Ethan?" And before she could think, before her heartbeat caught up, Lila slipped from her chair, walked across the cafe, and stood before him. "You came," she said, smiling up at him. The man, Ethan Hale, billionaire CEO of Hale Industries, one of the most feared and admired businessmen in the city, froze completely. His world, built on logic, power, and control, suddenly tilted beneath his feet. Because this little girl, with Amelia's eyes and his own dimpled smile, was staring up at him as if she'd known him forever. The 3 of them sat together now, Amelia tense, Ethan silent, and Lila blissfully unaware of the storm brewing between them. Outside, rain began to fall softly, tapping against the window as if echoing the weight of unspoken years. Ethan couldn't stop staring at Amelia's face, a little older but still achingly familiar, and at Lila, whose laughter carried the same warmth he'd once fallen in love with. "You're really here," he said quietly, his voice rough. "After all these years." Amelia looked down at her hands. "I didn't think you'd recognize me." "I could never forget you," he said simply. She gave a small, sad smile. "That's easy to say when you're the one who left." His jaw tightened. "You think I wanted to? My father gave me no choice, Amelia. I was nothing back then. No money, no company. Just a kid with big dreams and a heart that didn't fit the world he built." Her eyes glistened. "And now you have everything." He looked at Lila, not everything. Lila, oblivious to the gravity in their words, took a sip of her cocoa and said cheerfully, "Mommy, can I tell him about my dream?" Amelia nodded gently, unable to speak. Lila leaned closer to Ethan. "In my dream, you were sitting all alone looking sad. So I told you Mommy was the best at hugs, and then you smiled. You said, 'Tell her I'm sorry.'" Ethan froze, every muscle in his body locking in place. His lips parted, but no words came. "How could she know that?" he whispered. "That's what I said the night before I left." Amelia's eyes widened. "What?" He turned to her, trembling. "You were asleep, and I was too much of a coward to wake you. I kissed your forehead and said those exact words." Silence fell between them, heavy, fragile, electric. Finally, Amelia whispered, "She was only a dream, Ethan." He shook his head slowly, tears forming for the first time in years. "No. Maybe she's proof that some connections don't die, even when we walk away." Lila looked between them with the unshakable faith only a child could have. "So, does that mean we can be a family now?" Amelia's breath hitched. Ethan reached across the table, his hand trembling as it brushed hers. "Only if your mom says yes," he whispered. For the first time in years, Amelia didn't pull away. Her eyes softened, old wounds meeting new warmth. "Maybe," she said quietly, smiling through tears. "We can start with coffee." Lila clapped her hands. "And cocoa for me." Ethan laughed, really laughed, and in that simple sound, the cafe seemed brighter. For years he'd chased success, power, and control. But all it took was one little girl's dream and one woman's forgiveness to remind him what he'd truly been missing.